Hey everyone, welcome to another patent pending cocktail class series. I got a special guest with me today. His name is Jose. He is with the Diplomatico team. So today we're going to cover some selections of their core line and also their ambassador line, their vintage selection line, and also a new one today that is called Seleccion de Familia, and of course the exclusive Reserva. Kind of just going to go through and talk about some of the spirits that we have not tried, of course, today. Probably more primarily on these two selections here. Again, we're super excited. I hope you guys are too. Again, we want to welcome and thank Jose for coming again and giving us his special time.
Thank you, Dorian. It's always fun to be back at Patent Pending. Even we're going to miss Nikola today, but he's having the better life. It's exciting. It's a great tasting what we're doing today. We're gonna go over the core range of Diplomatico, from the mixing rum like Mantuano, Diplomatico Planas, aged, high proof, charcoal filter white rum, Reserva Exclusiva, of course, the classic sipping rum for Diplomatico, and a rare occasion, and probably one of the first places in New York to do this tasting or to have this addition, is a new release, which is Diplomatico Seleccion de Familia. It's also a blend rum, but we're adding an additional third barrel into the blend. And then single vintage 2007, which is one of our limited production of the vintage line, 2007, the new release. Finish it in Oloroso Sherry, and definitely finishing with the top of the game of the family Diplomatico Ambassador, PX, a rum that is finished in PX Pedro Jimenez Sherry Cab. So it's going to be a fun tasting for sure.
Awesome. Thank you, Jose. Again, we're looking forward to this class, and I hope you guys are as well too. Stay tuned.
Cheers.
Today in this segment, we're going to focus on a classic cocktail called the Knickerbocker. So the Knickerbocker can be seen as a 19th century style Mai Tai. So back in the day, again, this is a very delicious drink. Doesn't call for too much, but kind of like a classical Mai Tai, just calls for liqueurs, it's citrus, it's syrups, and of course, the most important part, the rum. So this cocktail isn't anything too complicated. Spec-wise, we're going to start with a ½ ounce of lime juice. Do a ½ ounce of orange Curacao. Quarter ounce of the raspberry paste. Then a ½ ounce of 2-to-1 simple syrup. And for the rum selection, we are going to use Seleccion de Familia from Diplomatico. Some tasty notes on this spirit are going to be aromas of vanilla, oak, and red fruits. And I'll be using 2 ounces. So this is going to be a whip-shaped style cocktail. You want to just add a few dashes of pebble ice, and then we'll just give it a good whip shake. And for the glassware, we're going to use a cobbler style. And then we'll dump our cocktail right inside and top off with pebble ice. So this cocktail famously calls for seasonal fruits. In this case, I'm going to use grapefruit. If you don't have grapefruit, lemon wedge or lime wedge, or an orange slice will also be perfect. And there you have it, the Knickerbocker. Before we begin, guys, of course, thank you all for coming, for all those that were able to make it. I'm sure some stragglers will probably come in, and that's okay. But I thought by starting the class, we start off with the Knickerbocker, if any of you are familiar with this cocktail. It's a very classic cocktail. It's kind of considered as like a mid-19th century Mai Tai, before the Mai Tai was kind of like famous during the time. Also very famous cocktail that was famously known in Jerry Thomas's first iterations of his cocktail books. So the name is also very famous because, of course, in New York during that time or during that era, the name Knickerbocker was famous for a lot of like clubs, restaurants, of course, the famous magazine company, and even like an ice machine. So that's kind of where like the name kind of comes from. Again, it's kind of like similar to like a Mai Tai style. So it's kind of very boozy forward with that regard. It's got just like a very simple spec. So again, it's just going to be like lime. In this case, this really nice red color you're going to grab from the raspberry paste, which is what it usually calls for. So whether that's a paste or a syrup, doesn't matter. As long as there is raspberry in there, that's kind of what makes it like distinct from another Mai Tai variation. And then in this case, for this cocktail, we are going to use Seleccion de Familia. So this is going to be Diplomatico's version. I'm not sure if any of you have tried it yet. I personally have not. So very much looking forward to trying that out, as you all will. So again, I thought it'd be cool to like open this class up and have you guys try a very classic cocktail. So we'll go ahead and pass these out. And again, thank you, Jose, I know you're kind of strapped for time today, so the class welcomes you and we're very thankful for you coming today.
Thank you, senor.
Thank you, sir.
How are you guys? I'm Jose, like Dorian and Blair mentioned it. I'm the brand ambassador for Diplomatico Rum. I love to be back in patent pending. I've been here even before pandemic. Big fan of what you're doing here. Today, Dorian told me that now you're gonna start to work with Diplomatico plan as a house rum, and that show the level of attention you pay in the quality of product you're pouring in this place. Today is a very exciting tasting because besides tasting the core range of Diplomatico, the cocktail that we're doing, and we're gonna have the opportunity to try it, is a new release for the Diplomatico family. It's Seleccion de Familia. And I will say you will be one of the first team in New York to taste it. There was an allocated product and we just released it like a month ago though. And then we're gonna finish with the highest expression of Diplomatico. I know you're familiar with Diplomatico. Like I mentioned, the brand is being few years already in this amazing place. But I'm gonna walk you through a little bit about the category of rum, about the style of a Venezuelan rum. Diplomatico is rum from Venezuela. Then we're gonna go deep into the elaboration process of Diplomatico. And of course, we're gonna continue with the tasting though. We're tasting rum on a Wednesday. This have to be fun. So please feel free to make any question about the category, about the product. I will be happy to answer it if I can. So, rum and Diplomatico. In order to approach this brand, first we have to understand that Diplomatico is an aged rum. It's a sipping rum, right? So even our youngest expression and our mixing rum have the character of being drink neat. I'm sure, and especially in this with you, that you are you have more knowledge than the general consumer about rum. But the majority of people still, when you talk about rum, they have the first impression of the first idea of a style of rum like a Bacardi White or Captain Morgan. And those style of rum, they're fine, but those are meant to be mixed, right? With Diplomatico, like I mentioned it, the style of our rum is a little bit more complex. The beauty about rum is the versatility that even is a sipping product, it really play a key role in the leveraging a cocktail though. So when we approach to Diplomatico, please have in mind that this is a sipping rum, right? Rum is made out of sugarcane. You can make rum from sugarcane juice or sugarcane molasses. Those rum that are made from sugarcane juice are known as agricole rum and are made in the French Caribbean island like Guadeloupe, Martinique. Some brands, like reference brand, is like Rum JM, Clement, and this is a very different style. Are more green, more mineral, I will say, and again, it's a very different style in the palate and in the process from rum from molasses. But like I said, if you have access to sugarcane, you can produce rum. And like in wine, rum is made out of many different places, different countries, different islands, and everybody has their own style. Jamaican rum, very popular for their funkiness style, the high proof style. Dominican rum, more dry, more spicy. Venezuelan rum tend to be a little bit more sweet, but is aged and more smooth. But about Venezuelan rum, we are one of the few countries, besides Martinique, to have a DOC for the production of rum. So a DOC stands for Denomination of Origin Control. So it's an international certification that guarantee that the product that you are using it follows certain style of a product. So a DOC is the same from the production of tequila, the production of champagne, and some wines. The reason why Venezuela have a DOC for rum is thanks to the geographical location of our country. Venezuela is in South America, but we are in the north of South America. So we are considered a Caribbean country. We have the longest Caribbean coast in the region. At the same time, and especially where we have the distillery, which is like 200 miles south the coast of Venezuela, is where the flat lands converge with the mountains from the Andes Cordilleras. So the Andes Cordilleras is one of the longest mountain systems in the world that go from Venezuela all the way down to Argentina. Venezuela is right above the Ecuador line, and 33% of the territory belong to the Amazonian rainforest, though. So this unique location, geographical location, play a huge role in the quality of our soils, which have the perfect condition to grow sugarcane. Where we have our distillery, even it's a state-of-the-art distillery, is very integrated to nature. And 80% of the sugarcane that grow in Venezuela is in a 50-mile radius where is our distillery. So we are based in a very agricultural town, let's say so. So, thanks to this geographical location, the quality of the soils and the weather, very different from New York, more similar to Florida. Our weather is summer and summer with rain year long. That's our year, right? So this weather, having this weather, have a direct impact in our barrels and the way of how the alcohol of the rum evolve while we are aging. So thanks to these conditions, we've been able to protect our style of rum. So in order to call your product rum in Venezuela, you have to follow certain rules. The main ones are, you have to be made 100% from local raw materials. So that means that you cannot import alcohol or molasses from other places. Have to be 100% local. Alcohol proof, and this is interesting. So our style have to be between 80 and 100 proof. So Jamaican rum that I mentioned it early, which are popular for being 100, 120, 140, and so on, that style of rum, we couldn't call it rum in Venezuela. It will fall under rum liquor, or aguardiente de rum. So something in a different category. But the most distinctive element of a Venezuelan rum is that we are aged. We have to be aged at least 2 years in white oak. Could be new barrels, used barrels, but you have to be aged 2 years in order to call your product rum. So that is instead of the style of Venezuelan rum. More specific about Diplomatico. Diplomatico, the distillery that produced Diplomatico, it was founded in 1959, and it was a project leading by a Canadian company back in 1959. It was the biggest alcohol group in the world. It was called Seleccion, Canadian company. Pioneer developing brands and in innovation in destillation process. So they picked this land, La Miel, this small town where we have our distillery, for all the geographical benefit. Close to the sugarcane fields, close to the port, the quality of the water, have access to natural resources. So they installed this distillery, and they brought equipment from Canada used to produce Crown Royal, some equipment. They installed it in Venezuela. From Scotland, they brought the pot still. From France, they brought the column distillation, the column still, and they installed it here to produce their brands with the vision to supply South America and the Caribbean. Then Diplomatico is born in 1989 as the premium expression of Venezuelan rum. But it was only sold in Venezuela until 2003, when in 2000 Seleccion disappeared from the alcohol business, and they sold their brands between Diageo and Pernod, acquired the brands, but the distillery that they have all around the world, it was by different independent groups. The one in Venezuela, 4 families, local families that they were in the industry, they get the distillery, acquire the distillery, and one of the brands, it was Diplomatico. They develop the new packaging, adjust the formula, and they have the vision, we have the vision to present Diplomatico as the Venezuelan rum, but in the international market. And it was only in 2003, 2004 that we start to export. Today, Diplomatico is in 100 countries distributed directly. In Europe, it's the biggest premium rum brand in the market. In the US, we are number 2, on our way to number 1. And only in January this year, the brand, it was acquired by Brown-Forman family. Brands like Jack Daniel, Woodford Reserve, Old Forester, Herradura, and now Diplomatico rum belong to this group. Still, the whole process remains the same, made in Venezuela by the same distillery, everything is the same. What is unique about the elaboration process of Diplomatico? Diplomatico is a blend rum. It's a blend of 3 different styles of rum, and the use and a blend of different barrels in the formula. The vast majority of the rum in the markets are made from one specific destillation system. Brands like Bacardi, Zacapa, Flor de Caña, those rum are made from column distillation, which is a continuous distillation process, right? Then you have other Caribbean rums like Jamaican, Barbados, like Appleton, Foursquare, some plantation rums are made from pot still distillation. The same equipment that it was designed and used for the production of single malt whiskey and whiskey, right? Diplomatico, in our distillery, on the same roof, we have column stills, pot still, and something very unique that is called batch kettle. If you Google batch kettle distillation, most of the reference is going to show you our equipment in our distillery, though. It's a hybrid still that combine column and pot, right? So the reason why we have all this equipment, it was thanks to Seleccion when they installed the distillery. We adapted for the production of rum. Our column is a French design that is called barbette, and it was created for it's a custom design that originally it was to make alcohol from grapes, like Armagnac or brandy. We adapted for rum. The pot still, it was 100 years old, already in 1959, making whiskey in Scotland when we brought it to Venezuela. It's a double chamber equipment, though. And the batch kettle, it used to produce Canadian whiskey. Again, now in Venezuela. So the process go, we harvest the sugarcane, we make rum from sugarcane molasses, we fermentate it for 24 hours, and then we distill it through the column still. After we distill it through the column, we put that rum in ex-bourbon casks and new barrels, and we leave that rum aging. We do the same process. We take the alcohol from the fermented tank, we distill it through the batch kettle, and we fill it in barrels, new barrels, ex-bourbon barrels. We leave that rum to age. We do that. We distill through pot still, and we fill barrels from ex-bourbon, new cask, cherry, so on, and we leave that rum to age. After aging, the master blender blend this different style of rum in different proportion to create what we call the Diplomatico core range, which is Planas, Mantuano, and Exclusiva. This is a very unique process, and that's why the rich flavor of Diplomatico is coming from this very unique process in the universe of rum. In whiskey, you find some reference that do a similar process, but the fact that we are allowed to use 3 different equipment, to have 3 different styles of rum, different barrels, allow us to always be able to innovate with new profiles. And also, it's a blend rum, give us a lot of resources in order to maintain and correct our formula to keep a stand, like always came with the same result and standardize our quality though. Rum is aged, so every year the rum can change from the barrel. So be able to blend it, allow you to make some adjustment depending of the profile. So we're gonna taste the core range, and we're gonna start with Diplomatico Mantuano. So out of the rum that we're tasting today, Diplomatico Mantuano is the most characteristic of a Venezuelan style of rum. You get some vanilla notes, and vanilla is gonna be very present coming from the ex-bourbon barrels. But you also have some spicy notes, and you get the kick of being a relative young rum in the blend. Diplomatico Mantuano is 80 proof, and this is a rum that is blended with the 3 different styles, column, batch kettle, and pot still, aged in new barrels and ex-bourbon barrels. As we move forward today into the most sipping style of rum, on the blend, we're gonna increase the percentage of rum coming from the pot still. So Mantuano being the mixing rum of Diplomatico, in the blend, we use more alcohol coming from column, batch kettle, and some of the pot still. So, salud. Let's start tasting this beautiful rum. Mantuano, when I mention it, is the mixing of Diplomatico. However, it's a rum that is being aged. So, definitely have the character to be drinking like this, neat or on the rocks. I will consider, by bartender friend, they consider Mantuano the most versatile rum in the Diplomatico line, and it's the best fit to mix from highball cocktails to more spirit-forward cocktails though. Highball from as classic and refreshing like a rum mule, ginger beer, rum lime though, to a more spirit-forward like an old-fashioned. I really enjoy a Negroni, a twist of Negroni, a rum Negroni. Instead of gin, using rum, and especially Mantuano, I like it more than the original recipe. I think it's more balanced and less bitter. But sometimes when I'm doing these activities, somebody come and say, you never put a good rum into a rum and coke because the rum doesn't deserve that. And I agree a little bit, but not anymore. Because if you like rum and coke, that's good, that's okay. But at least you should try with a good rum, you know? Because anything against vodka, but rum, and when I say vodka, it's because vodka is very difficult to identify which vodka you're using in a cocktail. Because at the end, vodka is very clean and very light in terms of profiles, note profile. rum is not the same case at all. Rum actually add flavors and make your cocktail more complex though. So if you are a rum and coke guy, I will say improve, better your rum option, and Mantuano will be a great choice for that drink. Venezuela, rum and coke is very popular, but how we drink it is rum coke, and always you have to do Angostura bitter and lime. That is kind of our proper rum and coke though. But I've been talking a lot about that drink, so let's move on. But yeah, Mantuano.
If I could also interject too, yeah. So I'm sure you guys are all familiar with, of course, the Mantuano. So like here at Patton, we use this one in like a very Tiki style cocktail. Of course, like you brought up a very good point that like even with like rum and coke, sure, probably not a good idea to use like a nice fancy like, or you know, more intricate style rum that has like a lot of more flavors that you want to taste. I think even in Tiki style drinks too, this also comes through very nicely. But at our last class, we did another like classic cocktail like the El Presidente, and I used this Mantuano, and it came out fantastic. Because of course you're playing with other ingredients as well, but I think you brought up a good point that like using like a higher end spirit with like more qualities, and of course the way it's blended definitely shines through your cocktails as well. So not that it's a bad idea to drink it with Coca-Cola, but yeah, this is a very fine product for sure.
I agree though. So that's Diplomatico Mantuano. Now we're gonna move to Diplomatico Planas. Blair is gonna handle those. And I love Diplomatico Planas, to talk about it and to taste it, of course. Normally in this style of tasting, you always start with the white spirit, with the clean one though. Because normally white, in case of rum, normally white rum is no age. It's the most light or clean, most neutral. So you start with this. The reason why we start with Mantuano is because Mantuano is 80 proof. Planas is a little bit higher in proof. This is 94 proof, right? So at least with Mantuano, we start to adapt our palate to the alcohol proof. Normally, white rum is that. The vast majority of the white rum in the market are made 100% rum from column distillation, non-aged, 80 proof or below 80 proof. Planas is very different, guys. And I will say, without hesitating, this is the best high quality white rum in the market, by far. It's also a blend from column, pot still, and batch kettle distillation, new barrel, ex-bourbon barrels. So it's a blend, it's aged, and after age, we charcoal filter to remove the color. So you see that it's not completely clear, have like a tint of color. So this is a rum that is being aged between 2 and 6 years though. After age, we charcoal filter to remove the color, and the alcohol proof is 94 proof. So it's a high proof aged white rum. And that's why it made it so unique. Of course, 94 proof. When you taste it, you will feel some heat for the alcohol proof. But if you compare this with any other 94 proof alcohol, you will agree that this is quite mellow or smooth. And it's because the charcoal filtration, besides making the alcohol clear, it also made the alcohol more smooth. The reason why the master blender wanted to have it at 94 proof is because at this proof, he allowed him to make the alcohol clear, but also keep some of the character that you gain from being aging though. If you run through the charcoal filtration too long, it's gonna be completely clear, but also it's gonna be very, very clean and very light. So you want to find that great balance though. So Planas is a blend, aged, charcoal filter, 94 proof. One of my favorite rum on the Diplomatico family though. This is a sipping rum. If you add a couple ice, this is a rum that you actually can sip and it's gonna evolve. For me, are some dominant notes like coconut, banana, tropical fruit on it though. Of course, not only with rum, with the spirit, different from wine, which is 14% alcohol. This is 47 ABV or 94 proof. You have a small sniff because if it's too big, it's gonna just burn your nose, right? You're gonna get just the alcohol. And in the mouth, it's similar. You have a small sip first, and then you have a second sip, larger, where you can like actually get some of the notes that you're perceiving, though. Back to the vodka conversation, though. With this rum, for me, it's the most clear example. If you do a classic Daiquiri, that for me is one of the best cocktails, fresh lime juice, sugar, or simple syrup, and rum, well shake. If you do it with 3 different rum or 4 different white rum in the same amount in the recipe, in a blind tasting, you will notice which one is made with planas, though. And that is the beauty about rum, like how impactful is actually in your cocktail. So when Dorian mentioned it, that you're using planas in your well, again, show you what are you doing in this bar in terms of quality and treating your customer with the best products in the market, though. So yes, planas for me go through classic Daiquiri. Thanks to the alcohol proof, is a great rum for Tiki cocktails. Of course, a classic, a Elevate Mojito is fantastico. One of my favorite drink with planas is another twist of a classic. It's called the Last Word. It's a gin cocktail. But instead of gin, using planas, green chartreuse, and Luxardo liquor, and lime, equal part, is a beautiful, elegant drink, though. What do you think about planas so far, though? Good? Sometimes, like, for some people, it still is too strong. But if you try to remember your experience drinking white rum neat, and you try to make that comparison, you will agree that this is a very different in terms of body, in terms of palate, and the whole thing, the whole formula. So now let's go through to Reserva Exclusiva. This is Diplomatico. When you talk about rum, we should be talking about premium rum and sipping rum. And if we talk about sipping and premium rum, we should be talking about Reserva Exclusiva. Diplomatico Reserva is one of the biggest reference in the segment of aged rum. And if Mantuano and Planas was created to be the mixing rum of Diplomatico, Reserva, it was created to be the sipping rum of Diplomatico. This is a rum that you have like this, on the rocks or neat. Like, you might think that rum called you to summer. I think this is a great weather to drink rum and to drink this kind of rum, though. Diplomatico Reserva is also a blend of the 3 different styles of rum. Now we go a little bit higher in the amount of rum from pot still. Alcohol proof is 80. Some of the most dominant notes on Diplomatico and characteristic note, I will say, is orange peel. You get a lot of orange peel. Vanilla is there too. But you also have some maple syrup notes, even dark chocolate. And the success of Reserva is that it's an easy rum to drink. When I say easy, I don't want to mean simple. It's easy because even you are not a rum drinker or a brown spirit drinker, you will realize or you will find on Exclusiva that it's very smooth, very rich in flavors. The alcohol proof or the whole notes are very well balanced, leaning into the sweet notes without being too oversweet, right? So, and if you are a rum drinker, you will find all these characteristics and you will appreciate the quality of the product. Reserva is a great bridge to get people introduced or to rediscover the category of rum and showing as aged sipping rum. Exclusiva, it will be a great getaway introduction to the category, though. Without being too complex, and again, very smooth, Exclusiva, the best-selling pitch is always having to taste, though. Also, back to the versatility of rum, you make great cocktails with this product, though. However, one of my favorite way to drink Reserva, even we're gonna close this tasting today with a really nice ritual, a way to drink it, that I will tell you later. But another one that I like, and I invite you to do at home, is make a big ice cube from coconut water. So coconut water ice cube, Reserva Exclusiva, and a dash of chocolate bitter, and that is a drink. That is a beautiful drink, though. So, yes, that is Reserva. Have you tried Reserva before today? Or is it the first time? We all have tried it? Awesome. I know you're familiar with these products, but I wanted to taste it again and review some of the message. And now we're gonna taste the most complex, and it's gonna be, again, I think you're gonna be one of the few groups to do this tasting, the core range, Seleccion de Familia, which is the new release of Diplomatico. And we're gonna finish with the most limited expression of the family. So, about Seleccion de Familia, the ronda is coming next. The blend is very similar to Reserva Exclusiva in terms of proportion of pot still, column, and batch kettle. But what made this rum unique among the all Diplomatico rums is the barrel that we use. So far, we have tried rum that have been aged in new barrels and ex-bourbon barrels. Seleccion de Familia is the same. We use the new barrels, ex-bourbon, but we add a cherry cask barrel, oloroso cherry. So the same process. We distill it through pot still, we age it in cherry cask, and after age, we blend rum from the ex-cherry cask, from the ex-bourbon cask, and from the new barrel. We blended, and we came with Diplomatico Seleccion de Familia. Alcohol proof is a little bit high compared to Reserva. This is 86 versus 80. What I love about Seleccion de Familia is that make the family of Diplomatico bigger and richer, because for those, and you can find an alternative of a style of rum that you like in the whole Diplomatico portfolio. If you found Reserva a little bit too sweet, Seleccion is a little bit more complex, but it's less sweet with the same amount or the same level of smoothness, though. The oloroso cherry, and it's the beauty about being a blend rum. Like, regardless the percentage, it really play and change the whole profile. So I'm still new, or I'm still, getting used to drink cocktails made with this rum, because again, it's very new in this market. And from an activity yesterday that we did, I think we did a Negroni, and this cocktail that Dorian made with Seleccion de Familia, it was like, it's amazing how well played with the right flavors. So I want to touch base about aging and about aging with rum, though, which is important to understand. So Venezuela, I told you about our weather conditions, right? So what happened when you age? What happened in the barrel? When the weather or the temperature get warm, the barrel expand. And when the temperature drop or get cold, that barrel contract. So that dynamic of expand and contract is what make the liquid inside, call it rum, whiskey, cognac, Armagnac, is what make marry with the wood and create this chemical reaction that made the flavors evolve, right? So if you aging in a location that goes through seasons, that go through winter, like in Scotland or Kentucky, that process of expand and contract in those months of the year is kind of like slowed down, it's almost on hold, right? So the reaction inside is also start to slow down. But in our condition that I mentioned, which is very standard year-long, that dynamic of expand and contract of the barrel is non-stopping. So that process is a non-stopping process, though. So it's not a romantic comment when we mention it that a rum aged in the Caribbean or in Venezuela, it aged 3 times more fast or more dynamic than a whiskey made in Scotland, though. In our industry, we have this expression that is called the angel share. I'm sure you're familiar, but the angel share, or the tax of the angel, is the amount of alcohol that you lost while you are aging. So in Scotland, the angel share per year is around 2-3% every year. So every year you lost around 2 or 3% of the original volume from that barrel. But in our condition in Venezuela, when that process is a non-stopping process, our angel share, it goes between 6 and 8% every year. So for rums that we age for 12 years, the angel share of that barrel, like we lost around 60% of the original volume in that barrel. What is left is a spirit very rich and very powerful that we use it in our blend. But that's why it's not fair and it's not the same at all to compare age statement from whiskey that from a Caribbean product or a Caribbean rum, because it's totally different. And another thing about aging and about aging system, it's not only in rum. I'm talking about the spirit industry in general. You have 2 systems, 2 well-known systems. You have the Solera method and the static method. Solera is when it's a system that you have like a pyramid of barrel backward, and on the bottom you have the mother barrel, where in that barrel you have alcohol and you can refill that barrel with different aging. So in the same barrel you can have rum that is being aged for 20 years, but then you can have alcohols or rums that is being for 6 years, 4 years, 2 years, 6 months. Regardless the proportion, it could be 95% rum that is being aged 6 years and youngest, but you have 1% of that liquid that is being aged for 20 years. In the Diplomatico house, we do the traditional or static method. That means that we don't refill that, we fill that barrel and we don't open it until it's ready. So we don't refill it. The blending happens at the end, and we open the different barrels and we blend it though. In Diplomatico, we don't say that we have the oldest rum, because we strongly believe that the oldest rum not always translate to a better quality product, especially in rum. And sometimes you can get like very woody dominant notes, and it's all where you taste. And the production of rum, like everything play a role. The quality of the raw material, the quality of the yeast, of the water, the destillation equipment, the barrels, and all that marry is what made the product taste how it tastes at the end. So we age until what the master blender consider the optimal year for each of our rums. I don't know if everybody have the Seleccion de Familia already? Yeah. You try it already? What do you think about it? Especially like if you compare with Reserva. It's definitely way more dry. Like you don't have those sweet notes that as present as Exclusiva. Definitely a little bit more complex. So, Seleccion de Familia, the new Diplomatico rum in US. Now we're gonna bring the big guys. We have Diplomatico single vintage. So far, we have been tasting the blends rum, which is the distinctive style of Diplomatico, right? But I also mentioned earlier that as we go to sipping style, we increase the amount of pot still. In the case of single vintage, it's not blended anymore. It's 100% rum from pot still, right? Single vintage is a limited production that we don't produce every year. The master blender, he have the final call, and he decide when a specific batch have the characteristic that he is looking into a rum that he don't want to blend, and he want to make 100% from this batch. On single vintage, we have done different vintage. The first one, it was 97, and that went only for the domestic market. Then we did 2000 for the European market. 2002, it was a global, it was from Europe and US. Then we have 2004 and 2005, the first time we do a back-to-back. And now we have 2007. All of them follow the same concept, but they're slightly different vintage from vintage. We age in ex-bourbon cask, in new cask for 12 years, up to 12 years, and then we finish it one more year in cherry cask, in cherry oloroso. The difference between vintage and Seleccion is that Seleccion is aged, like it's a blend that we age, is aged from the beginning, let's say so. In single vintage, we age in ex-bourbon and new cask, we blend it, and then we finish it in cherry oloroso cask for one more year. So, cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
They still have the DNA of being a Diplomatico rum, but now that we realize that it's a little bit more elegant, more complex, more dry. You have also like almost kind of like clove or even cinnamon. Beautiful sipping rum. Now the ending or the aftertaste started to getting longer. Great pairing with this is cigars. Even I'm not a big smoker. Cigar, like this rum make you smoke. Cigars is a great pairing. Dark bitter chocolate is a great pairing. Strong cheese too, like fatty meals go really nice with this style of rum though. So far, we have a Mantuano aged mixing rum, Diplomatico Planas, a high proof aged charcoal filter white rum, Reserva Exclusiva, a classic sipping rum, very smooth, easy to drink. Then we have Seleccion de Familia, the new addition of the Diplomatico family, aged in 3 different casks, ex-bourbon, new barrels, and cherry oloroso. Now we have Seleccion single vintage 2007, 100% pot still, aged in ex-bourbon and new oak, and finish it in oloroso sherry for 1 year. Alcohol proof, this is 86 proof though, so we go a little bit higher again though. So let's go now with the top of the Diplomatico family, Diplomatico Ambassador. This is a nice treat, guys. Ambassador is the top, is the most complex and exclusive rum made in the distillery. And of course it's rum, it's a fine rum. But Ambassador is in the level of any fine spirit. Call it cognac, Armagnac, single malt whiskey though. This is a rum that is also 100% pot still. Aged for 12 years, ex-bourbon, ex-whiskey, and new barrels, 12 years. After age, we blend it, and we put it back in barrels of PX cherry cask, of Pedro Jimenez cherry cask. Alcohol proof is 94 proof, which is cask strength. Somebody asked me once that how was 94 proof cask strength, like it's high, but when you do cask strength, normally it's overproof. And I checked with the master blender, and he told me it go back again to the weather condition though. The humidity levels are so high in our warehouse, in our distillery, that in those evaporations that happen in the barrel, what evaporates the most is the alcohol over the water. So that's why the alcohol proof is not that high coming out from the barrel. So Ambassador, we do produce it every year, but in limited quantities. And again, this is a beautiful aged rum. More like, I would say that it's one of the most high-end expression of what you can do with a rum. What is unique about this, for me, never stop, surprise me, is how long and how rich is the aftertaste. Try it, have a small sip, and wait 2 minutes. And in these 2 minutes, it's gonna continuously getting different notes in your palate. After you finish, smell the glass. And it's amazing, like when I say the Reserva Exclusiva is a rum that is easy to drink, Ambassador, it takes a little more of attention because there is a lot of going on in flavors, in your palate. It's very full body, high in proof, but again, it's so well balanced that it could go easily for a 80 proof or 86, even it's 94 though. And again, pay attention to the aftertaste because that is, for me, that is the most characteristic. That is so long and you just getting notes coming to you though. Not bad, huh? Not bad. Before 2 p.m., 6 rums on a Wednesday. Love it. What do you think about Ambassador, though?
That aftertaste that you talked about, where you get a lot more as you're kind of sitting with it. It feels like as we were going down with the Familia and then the single family, it has that prolonged effect.
Right. It's definitely an evolution of the styles, though. Like, you get some of similar notes of what you found in the previous expression, but way more developed, though. And this is the most proud product of the Diplomatico house because it's only the best of the best of the raw material, best of distillation process. And the whole process is what we're looking for. What we were looking for is to show how complex a rum can be, and that is part of the big, of the big message about Diplomatico. That the category is growing, and it's great to have new brands join to the segment because it helps to show how rich the category of rum can be, and how different styles is rum depending of where and how it's produced. So Diplomatico is definitely a great reference of Venezuelan style, but even on the Venezuelan style, being a blend of the 3 different distillation systems and the use of barrels, how we do it, is a very unique, it makes a very unique process for the production of this rum. Let's keep enjoying Diplomatico while Blair is preparing what we call the DOC ritual. That will be the last rum that we're doing. So the other DOC in Venezuela, besides rum, is chocolate. We have one of the best cacao in the world. And one way to drink Reserva that we have is called the DOC ritual, where we take dark chocolate, high % of cacao, and Blair, he found a store here in New York, amazing, where they offering instead of chocolate and bitters though, and they have one of the most fine Venezuelan cacao that you can get though. So we have an orange covered in this high percentage of Venezuelan cacao. It's called Chuao. It's again one of the best cacao that you can get in the world. So the ritual works You bite that orange covered with Venezuelan chocolate, and then you wash or you mix it with your Reserva Exclusiva in a shot. You mix all those flavors and have another and another one. No, guys, it's been amazing. Thank you for attending. Thank you for paying attention and being with us. Again, big shout out to Dorian, Nikola. I'm a big fan of patent pending. It's been a while, but hopefully I will be more regular here. I know you've been taking care of our friend Blair's and Adrian Sosa. And now with the brand in the brand Foreman family, we are very excited to see where we can take this brand now on. But yes, cheers to you guys, and thank you though. Salud. So let's do this. Blair, what is the name of the store where you find the chocolate?
It's called The Meadow. It's on Mulberry Street down in Soho. The biggest, like Adrian said, Jose Luis said, largest amount of chocolate I've ever seen. And they specialize in chocolate, bitters, and Himalayan sea salt. So definitely check it out. They ship everywhere. Pretty affordable too. So what was the name of the place? Called The Meadow.
Salud, chicos. Thank you very much, though. Cheers. Beautiful. Any questions, señores? Good. So let's keep sipping our ambassador, guys. Salud.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate this.
We're good with the time? Yeah. Kind of you keep it and you finish it and you wash it with the rum. I think this is a trash can.
Does anybody have any questions about any expressions or anything?
Yeah, actually, of the trio, what would you say for like a layman consumer who doesn't really know a lot about exclusive rums? What would you say is most appealing?
I would say Reserva Exclusiva, though. So I would say Reserva Exclusiva on the rocks, maybe with a couple rocks or a big ice cube, or just neat to show what is a good aged rum. Again, it's very smooth. The sweet note, it make it easy to drink, but at the same time you get that orange peel, those dark chocolate. So it's gonna help to gain some trust to introduce them to the segment of aged rum. And then if it's into cocktails, I will always recommend a classic daiquiri or a snackery, half side. I cannot be a bigger fan of a snackery with Diplomatico Plana. So for me, that will be the best way to introduce into rum, into this segment or into this universe of rum. You give them a classic cocktail that is still misconceived, and when you talk about daiquiri, you still hear, oh, frozen, strawberry, no, it's not frozen. Classic daiquiri is fresh lime juice, simple syrup, and rum, well shake. You cannot more easy than that. But at the same time, it could be the best drink or the worst drink. It's all about balance and having fresh lime juice. So that allowed also to make people, like for consumers and people that is not into rum or have that perception of drinking a standard and not having the best experience, it will help to make them, excited and understand a little bit more about the whole category. Not long ago, when you talk about tequila, it was all about Jose Cuervo and margaritas. And all their memories, it wasn't the most pleasant. So definitely start with the fun experience, but not at the end. Today, the general consumer, even those who are not in the industry or like the most regular consumer, have a little bit of awareness and knowledge about that you still have Cuervo, you still have those style of rum, of tequila, but there is a whole universe of sipping tequilas, though. And then you have the whole universe of celebrities, tequilas, and brand. But I see that as a reference of in a different pace, but where rum is going, though. The volume, like rum, is still vast consumed in those rum and coke and in those standard and entry-level style of product. But when you go to mixing to cocktail places, you see fine dining places like menus or cocktail menus that they elevate their experience. You see sipping rum gaining more space and more space. So I believe that will be, and that is the path of rum. That's why I like when I see new brands doing the right thing and putting a quality product in their bottles. It helped the whole category. But don't get me wrong, Diplomatico is the best. No, but it's a great. I'm on Diplomatico and we tasted today. You have 6 different rums representing 6 different styles in a very high level of quality, though. So it helped to understand or to rediscover more the universe of rum, though.
And all of them are zero added sugar, right?
No, and that's a good question, though. So the DOC and the Venezuelan style allow us to use what we call, or what is known as dosage. So we use after aging, and we blend, we have a kind of an alcoholic syrup that we use in different proportion to round and balance some of the notes, though. In our website, we have our nutritional chart for each of our products, though. There is a European law that is being out for the last 4 years that in order to call your product rum, you have to be under 20 grams of sugar per liter. If you go above that, you cannot label rum in the European community, though. Diplomatico is always being under that percentage. But in the core range, we use the dosage. For the prestige range, the last 2 that we tried, we don't do that. We do zero dosage. We don't use it, though. But that shows you, and how the master blender Nelson always explained, though, that shows you that it's very, and with some reason, and you can tell when a product overdo that practice, though. But it's also like you are cooking. When you use salt in your meals, it's to highlight some of the flavors, though. But not all the flavors are coming from the salt. It's the same with rum, it's the same with Diplomatico. Like every process, the yeast, the quality of the melaza, the equipment that we distill, the barrels, have those flavors. And those flavors as orange peel, as dark chocolate, or vanilla, is evolution of those. The use of dosage is to make it more round and balanced, though. And you can tell that Ambassador and Vintage, even when it doesn't have any dosage, you can perceive different level of sweetness in the product, though. Also, I think we did an exercise in this account by Adrian. It's beautiful. We call it the blending session, which is the deconstruction of the blend of Diplomatico. We have rum that are made 100% from column, from the batch kettle, and from the pot still. Those, they don't have any dosage. And you can tell the different level of sweetness that you can find from the rum from column, from the pot, and from the batch. And this is to reinforce that the sweet note is not all coming from the dosage. Again, the dosage is to polish a little bit the flavors, let's say so, though.
Jose, do you know how much grams are in the Planas Mantuano and Reserva?
I have to check again the website, but a rough idea is Planas is like 4 grams per liter. Mantuano, I believe, is like between 6 and 8. And Exclusiva is 12, 13 grams per liter. Which is also, the master blender made this exercise, is so true. You take a liter of water, and you take a sugar package of those that you use in your coffee, and you put it and you mix it. It's not that sweet, that liter of water though. And it's pretty much the same proportion with this though. Without being all sugar. Again, it's an alcoholic syrup though.
The spirits that are over 20 grams, what are they called?
Ron liqueur.
Okay.
It will be ron liqueur. Ron liqueur or aguardiente ron, but I'm sure in the European, like, it's more labeled as ron liqueur though. Okay. Yeah. Ron liqueur, yeah. Good. Awesome, guy. Well, thank you again, man. Bien. Keep drinking it.